Hey there, and welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a stack of sources, articles, research notes, and really pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you. Our mission, to get you well-informed, fast, maybe with some surprising facts and insights along the way. Today, we're doing a deep dive into First Page Australia. Now, if you've been navigating the digital marketing landscape, especially down under, this name has probably, well, popped up.
That's right. We've pulled information primarily from, publicly available sources, think the company's own website, various bits of third-party industry commentary. So we're here to explore the picture these sources paint about First Page Australia's operations, their place in the market, and maybe their strategic direction. Just reporting what the material says, of course, not endorsing any specific claims ourselves.
And why spend time on this right now? Well, digital marketing is it's fundamental to business growth today, isn't it? Understanding the key players, how they position themselves, what they claim to offer. It's pretty crucial whether you're actually looking for agency support or just, trying to make sense of the industry. Let's dive in. So let's start at the beginning then. Who is First Page Australia at its core, and what's the backstory according to these sources?
Okay. So the sources identify it as the Australian branch of a larger global digital agency network. The
Yep.
specific Australian operation it launched back in May 2021.
2021. And the person behind that launch.
That would be the digital entrepreneur Nick Bell. What's interesting here, though, is that this wasn't his first venture in the Australian market, not by a long shot. The sources detail his history, including founding and then selling an agency called WME back in 2017 for a reported $39 million, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And after that, he apparently spent several years building this global network, which grew to over 1,000 staff across various locations before deciding to re-enter Australia with First Page.
So this wasn't really a cold start then. It sounds like they're leveraging, significant prior experience.
Precisely. Yeah, the sources emphasize this point quite heavily. This re-entry into Australia, according to the material we looked at, it draws not only on the lessons learned from that WME experience, but also incorporates insights gained from what's described as the more advanced digital marketing landscapes in Asia.
More advanced.
Yeah, Nick Bell himself apparently referred to Asia as a source of knowledge in this context. So the key takeaway here is that First Page Australia is positioned as like the local extension of an already established, globally experienced entity. It's not a brand new startup, and that really shapes how they present themselves and, their capabilities.
Fascinating. So with that foundation of experience and global reach, what's the stated mission? What's the vision driving the company?
Well, their mission seems pretty clearly defined: to accelerate the growth of their clients' businesses. Straightforward enough. And their vision, as described in the sources, it's certainly ambitious. They aim to become the most desirable performance marketing company on earth.
Most desirable.
Yeah.
That's a bold aspiration. Okay. The sources also list some core values that supposedly underpin all this.
Yeah.
Anything noteworthy jump out at you there?
Yeah, these values are presented as really shaping their internal culture and approach. A couple that stand out and maybe offer insight into their operational tempo. One is whoever moves the fastest wins. So emphasizing proactivity, taking immediate action, doing things today, that sort of thing.
Right. Get it done now.
Exactly. And another is specialists, not generalists. This points to a philosophy of deep expertise in specific digital marketing areas. It suggests they prioritize doing a few things exceptionally well rather than trying to be a jack of all trades.
Okay.
And there's also one called It's an Open Forum, which seems to promote respectful, open communication internally.
Okay, so what does that tell us? How does that backstory, leveraging global experience and those specific values, especially the specialist, not generalist one, how does that translate into what you, the potential client, might actually experience?
Well, it suggests a service model built on, experienced leadership, drawing from international best practices. And that specialist value implies you should probably expect targeted, deep expertise in whatever specific service you need from them. The sources definitely position this as a deliberate choice, aiming for high proficiency in their chosen domains.
Right. Okay, so let's look under the hood then. What services do the sources say First Page Australia actually offers clients in the digital marketing space?
The sources list a pretty comprehensive range, actually. They cover search engine optimization, or SEO. That includes local, international, e-commerce, and even enterprise-level strategies. Then there's paid advertising, PPC, pay-per-click, across the big platforms like Google Ads and various social media channels. And beyond search and paid, the services listed include e-commerce solutions, building digital brand awareness, and online reputation management too.
Okay, quite a bit. And do the sources indicate they have specific credentials or partnerships to sort of back this up?
Yes, they do. They highlight key partnerships as part of their credibility. They're noted as being a top 3% Google partner in Australia, for instance, and also a Meta business partner.
Okay.
The insight here, I suppose, is that these partnerships typically grant them access to specific platform technologies, dedicated support, and maybe valuable data and insights that can be leveraged for clients.
Right, that makes sense. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The sources put a lot of emphasis on proprietary technology. Tell us about Centra and Simplify CRM.
Okay, Centra. It's described in the materials as the central engine that powers First Page's operations. According to the sources, it's designed to offer, and this is their term, 100% transparency to clients, with real-time reporting accessible 24/7. It reportedly integrates AI for decision-making, though. The sources don't really specify what kind of decisions this AI makes, but the aim is apparently to reduce human error. Think of it as a central dashboard for managing and monitoring campaigns.
Transparency in AI decision-making.
Mhm.
Sounds powerful. What about the other one? Simplify CRM.
Right, Simplify CRM. This is presented as a key value add, and notably because it's offered for free to their clients.
Free.
Yeah, free. CRM, of course, stands for Customer Relationship Management, and Simplify is described as a tool to help businesses capture, track, and convert leads. It uses automated follow-ups via email, SMS, calls. Basically a tool to help businesses manage their sales pipeline more effectively.
A free CRM is Sildagus.
Well, that's pretty significant, isn't it?
Wow.
The sources mention you can even keep using it if you stop being a first page client. Correct. Yeah, the sources state you have the option to continue using Simplify CRM for a monthly fee. It's $550 AUD plus GST if you decide to discontinue their other services. So this technology suite, Sentry for campaign management and Simplify for lead management, it's clearly positioned in the sources alongside their specialist approach as a core differentiator for them in the market.
Okay, so they list the services, they talk up the tech. But can they prove it works? What did the sources actually say about the results?
Ah, yes. This is an area they really emphasize quantifiable results. Globally, across their whole network, they report having generated a cumulative total of over $3.8 billion in sales for their clients.
3.8 billion. Global sales, it's a massive figure. Do the sources offer more specific examples, maybe in the Australian context, of performance improvements?
They do, yes. The sources cite some pretty impressive percentage increases, which they attribute to their data-first strategies. For example, they mention return on ad spend, ROAS, the revenue generated for every dollar spent on ads improving by up to 54 times over.
54 times.
Yeah. And they also claim cost per lead. CPL, basically how much it costs to get a potential customer contact, was slashed by up to 667%. There's one specific client mentioned reportedly saw their organic revenue, that's from unpaid search traffic, skyrockets by 106% year on year.
Good grief.
And the sources also include brief case study snippets, like a client named Pokebox seeing a 310% revenue increase, or Australian unions exceeding a guaranteed 40% traffic increase, which the sources note resulted in millions of impressions.
Those kinds of specific numbers really help make the claims feel tangible, don't they? Beyond the self-reported results, though, what about external validation? Do the sources mention awards or recognition?
Absolutely. They highlight having won 14 digital awards and counting globally. These are from various bodies like the Drum, Google, Asia e-commerce, and Clutch. The sources specifically point to the broader First Page Group ranking, hashtag 260 in Clutch's Global 1000 list for both 2023 and 2024, and being a finalist for Best Apex SEO Campaign in the 2024 Global Search Awards.
Leveraging those global awards seems like a pretty smart move for the Australian arm, right? Especially since, as you said, it's only been operating here since 2021.
That's exactly how the sources position it, yeah.
Yeah.
By showcasing these international accolades and the global group's standing, the Australian entity can kind of project an image of being a high-caliber, reliable agency right from the outset. It's like borrowing credibility from the established global network.
Makes sense. And what about direct client feedback? Do the sources mention reviews, testimonials, that kind of thing?
Yes, consistently high ratings across multiple platforms are mentioned. They report a global average of 4.9 out of 5 on Google reviews from over 500 reviews.
Okay.
And similar high ratings on platforms like Clutch and Trustpilot.
Okay.
According to the sources, the common themes you see in client testimonials tend to highlight responsiveness, professionalism, deep expertise, understanding client needs, and crucially, delivering on promised results.
It's interesting, too, that they seem to actively encourage reviews. I think the sources mentioned a Google review link generator tool on their site.
Yeah, that detail topped out. It suggests a strategic focus on managing their online reputation and actively using client feedback as a tool for, marketing and building credibility.
So, putting it all together, highlighting these specific results, the awards, the positive reviews, it's clearly a strategy designed to demonstrate value and a measurable return on investment for you as a potential client. Building trust through that external validation and all those reported success stories. Okay, let's shift focus slightly. How do they actually work with clients? What's a typical engagement process look like according to the sources?
Right. The sources describe a model that's built on partnership, data-driven strategy, and transparency, apparently right from the start. It typically kicks off with a really deep dive into the client's business and market context. This involves like a complete business audit, thorough competitor analysis, looking at things like keywords, traffic, opportunity gaps, and a comprehensive SWOT
A
analysis.
SWOT analysis looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay. That's right. So the picture painted is that they really try to immerse themselves in understanding your specific situation before proposing any solutions. This deep initial analysis is designed to lead to what they call a bespoke growth strategy, meaning, it's tailored specifically to your unique needs and market position, not some one-size-fits-all template.
Got it. And a key differentiator that the sources really seem to emphasize is transparency and data ownership. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, this is strongly highlighted. They promise honest, 100% transparency with apparently no hidden fees. This is facilitated by that Centra platform we talked
Right.
about, giving real-time access to campaign data.
hmm
And critically, the sources state that all data generated during the engagement belongs to the client to keep.
Giving clients ownership of their own data,
hmm
that seems like a significant point of trust, especially in this industry.
It definitely positions them more as a long-term partner in growth rather than just a temporary service vendor, doesn't it? The sources also mention providing detailed reporting, including projections for things like leads, sales, ROI, all tracked against your specific key performance indicators, or KPIs.
Right, the metrics that actually matter to your business.
Exactly.
What stands out to you about this strategic client engagement approach, as described in the sources?
I think the combination of that really rigorous upfront analysis, the promise of a genuinely customized strategy, and then that radical transparency with data ownership, it's clearly designed to build a robust, lasting client relationships. The insight, I suppose, is that it's about more than just executing campaigns. It's about showing the client not just what is being done, but why, and demonstrating tangible results in a way that feels accessible and, importantly, empowers the client.
Makes sense. Now, as a digital marketing agency, their own online presence is effectively their shop window, right? How do they present themselves digitally based on what the sources say?
Absolutely. Yeah, their official website, firstpage.com.au, is the main hub. That's where they outline their services, share their values, introduce the leadership team, and showcase those client results and testimonials we discussed.
And do they use the website for more than just listing services? Maybe some thought leadership content?
Yes, exactly. It features a learning center with articles covering various digital marketing topics, often with contributions from their own team members. They also produce something called the Same Page Podcast, which discusses agency life and industry trends.
Ah, a podcast, okay.
Yeah. So this whole content strategy is clearly aimed at positioning themselves as experts and thought leaders in the field, basically practicing what they preach.
And what about social media? Are they active there?
They maintain active profiles on the usual platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. These are used to, demonstrate their capabilities, share insights, engage with their audience. It's essentially showing their digital marketing skills in action.
There was a specific, maybe slightly niche detail mentioned in the sources about one of their capabilities that caught my eye in this section. Something about translations.
Ah, yes, that's a notable detail. As a concrete example of, perhaps, leveraging those insights from Asian markets we mentioned earlier, the sources specifically mention providing precise translations from English to simplified Chinese.
Oh, that's interesting. Quite specific. What does highlighting a capability like that suggest about their focus or maybe their target market?
Well, it could suggest a unique selling proposition, right?
Yeah.
Especially for Australian businesses looking to specifically target the Chinese market, either locally or internationally. It highlights their stated familiarity with Asian digital landscapes and offers a tangible service that potentially differentiates them from agencies focused purely on, say, Western markets.
Right.
So, yeah, their own digital presence isn't just generic marketing. It demonstrates capability and highlights potentially specific areas of expertise like that translation service.
Okay, stepping back from the specifics now. Where does First Page Australia fit into the broader and presumably quite competitive Australian digital marketing landscape?
The sources definitely describe Australia as a mature and highly competitive market. There are numerous established agencies already playing in that space. They specifically name agencies like Clearwater Agency and online marketing gurus as prominent competitors, for example.
Okay, so based on the sources, how does First Page Australia try to stand out? How do they differentiate themselves in this crowded space?
Well, the sources point to several key differentiators, most of which we've touched on. Things like leveraging the founder's strong track record and the global network's extensive experience. That's a big one. Then there's the potential competitive advantage offered by their proprietary technology Centra and that free Simplify CRM. Their explicit focus on quantifiable results, backed by those big figures like the $3.8 billion global sales and the specific case study numbers we talked about. Their core philosophy of being specialists, not generalists, the breadth of their service suite, despite that specialist focus, and of course, their stated commitment to transparency and client data ownership.
But the sources also perhaps implicitly acknowledge that challenges exist, right? It can't all be smooth sailing.
Yes, that's definitely part of the picture painted. The Australian market is mature, which means they likely need continuous innovation to maintain differentiation. Just importing global practices might not be enough long term. And successfully managing potentially rapid growth, which seems plausible given the leadership's history, while consistently delivering high-quality service across all those specialist areas, that's going to be a significant operational challenge. It requires ongoing investment in finding and keeping skilled talent, for sure.
So wrapping things up, what's the overall strategic outlook presented in the sources for First Page Australia? Where are they headed?
The sources seem to position First Page Australia as a potentially disruptive force in the market. That's largely due to its, aggressive growth strategy, the experienced leadership drawing on global success, and having a proven global template that they're applying locally. But the sources indicate their success really hinges on a few things. Consistently executing on their promises for Australian clients, adapting and innovating specifically for the local market's nuances, successfully building a strong local brand reputation independent of the global one over time, and crucially, effectively scaling their specialist talent pool as they expand.
Right, and their strong focus on delivering measurable ROI feels particularly relevant right now, doesn't it? It seems very aligned with what businesses are prioritizing in today's economic climate.
Absolutely. That ROI focus is a key part of their pitch.
Okay, so to recap this deep dive into First Page Australia, we've explored a company that leverages a founder's successful past and a global network's experience. They emphasize proprietary technology for transparency and lead management. They point to significant quantifiable results and international recognition. And they build a client model based on deep initial analysis, bespoke strategies, and a strong commitment to transparency and client data ownership.
Yeah, the sources paint a picture of them positioning themselves as results-focused specialists. They offer a comprehensive suite of services, but with that specialist mindset. And they're aiming to be a long-term growth partner in the competitive Australian market, really drawing on their unique blend of global insight and local execution.
It's certainly a compelling picture painted by the sources we've examined today, and it kind of leaves you thinking, doesn't it? Given their emphasis on leveraging insights from what they describe as more advanced digital markets in Asia, how might this intentional cross-pollination of strategies not only benefit their clients directly, but potentially influence or even, reshape the broader digital marketing practices and expectations right here in Australia over the coming years? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, we hope it gave you a valuable shortcut to being well informed on this particular topic.